moment. Before we do, I want to invite up Richard Nongard, who will be giving a brief commencement address to you all. So, the man you heard enough from already, Richard Nongard.
Scott said, I'd like you to prepare a 5-minute commencement address, and I thought to myself, I could do that in an hour or two. So what I did was I limited my...
They're there too.
I've used 30 seconds already. I limited my notes to the back of a napkin because I figured that's 5 minutes worth of information.
There you go.
And what I wanted to talk about was actually you and HPTI. And congratulations. You know, I've been a part of hypnosis training on a nationwide basis for many years. I've seen different organizations and schools come and go over the years. And HPTI is something that I got behind right off the bat because it's different than everything else. Now, most of you know that I've spent the last year and a half focusing on the idea of transformational leadership. And if any of you have a business or an MBA background, you may be familiar with the term transformational leadership. It's what most of the MBA programs are teaching today. And the reason why they're doing so is because empirically, this is the most effective form of leadership. When I look at HPTI, what I see is a school that truly is transformational. That's why I signed on to be paid less than I normally charge for the exact same class through Scott. The reason why is because it's something bigger than me, it's something bigger than Scott. It's actually, I think, the biggest thing in the hypnosis profession in many decades. The cool thing about that is you're the beneficiary of that. You are, in fact, a part of a transformation in the hypnosis training field or business or the entire educational approach. But your experience hasn't been just to learn different things. It's actually been to experience transformation yourself. And in transformational leadership training programs, this is actually the heart of transformational leadership. Recognizing that in order to impact others, I have to make changes in my own experience to be effective doing that. Randy Dobbs, who was the CEO of, I think, the North American division of General Electric during Jack Welch's tenure, wrote a book titled Transformational Leadership. In almost MBA program, it's probably a required text. And he identifies in the corporate environment 5 things that are the characteristics of transformational leadership. And when I think about all of the graduates who I've had the chance to interact with, who I've had the chance to meet, who I've had the chance to talk to over the past year, as you've been learning methods of hypnosis, what I've actually been seeing are these same 5 characteristics of transformation. And that's what separates HPTI and your experience from really any other hypnosis training program. Randy Dobbs, in his book on transformational leadership, defined it this way. He said, the first thing a transformational leader needs to do is build a culture. Those of you who are graduates of HPTI are changing the culture of clinical hypnosis. You're changing the way we view training programs. You're changing the way that we view outcomes. You are changing the entire culture of how hypnosis education is provided. You've been, to some extent, a guinea pig, but the result has been incredible because this year's class and the previous year's class are hypnotists who have already, in a short period of time, left a mark in the world of clinical hypnosis. And the culture has been changed by HPTI, but it's been changed by your participation. That's something you can be proud of. The second thing in Dom's book is improve esprit de corps. This is something, of course, that he wanted to do among the employees at General Electric, but I see the positive approach that HPTI graduates have, changing the esprit de corps in the hypnosis industry. When I go to other conventions or when I'm interacting with other people, all anybody wants to talk about is HPTI, and HPTI has a positive message that's changed the hypnosis training field. The third thing in Dom's book that he outlines as a definition of transformational leadership is the leader learns how to communicate issues and actions. I've listened to your presentation this afternoon. You and I have certainly talked about these issues on many occasions. You clearly enunciated your ideas in a way that anybody would be happy to listen to. Even somebody from a differing perspective on how the world works. That is fantastic. And the leaders who are emerging as graduates of HPTI know how professionally and ethically to communicate ultimately for the benefit of the clients who we work with, rather than their own good. Now, Dom's wrote a business book, and his fourth characteristic of transformational leadership is to change the financial picture. That was his goal at General Electric, to make the company more profitable. I'm a firm believer that we can be both profitable and benevolent. In fact, I find it a lot easier to be benevolent towards the clients who I work with when I can pay my own mortgage at the end of the month. I find it really easy for me to be benevolent towards my clients when I'm not worried about whether or not I can pay my car insurance or my kids' college tuition or whatever expenses I have going on in my own life. In the hypnosis profession, one of the things that we've seen over the last few years are many people reporting that they've studied hard but don't have the financial results to sort of continue on. But the financial results of the graduates from HPTI are elevating the profession to a vantage point where a workman is worth his wages or her wages. And the graduates from HPTI just a year ago are probably earning more than the typical hypnotist who graduates from any training program. This is good for the training industry as a whole. What it means is that professional graduates are leaving HPTI capable of charging a professional fee for a professional service. They don't feel a sense of, am I worth the rate that I charge? They know they're worth the rate that they charge. And ultimately, that is going to be one of the things that sustains the hypnosis field as a professional endeavor. Again, Randy Dobbs talked about it in a business book, and I don't think as professionals who got in this field, ultimately, well, for two reasons. One, we didn't have to take math to get into the program. but two, primarily because we really like helping people make change. I think it's important for us also to recognize that as professionals, we're worth what we're paid. The fifth characteristic in Dom's book is to leave behind a cadre of future transformational leaders. Our goal in being a professional is ultimately to impact one person who may come to us in our office, so that that person can then go on to impact other people in positive ways. That's how the world has changed. It's changed one person at a time. When I read the morning newspaper, I can see all different types of things that are wrong with the world, all different types of problems in the world. How does this change? I see on my Facebook wall that some people are defeated and depressed by the state of the world. But when I see HPTI graduates, when I go into an HPTI classroom like I dropped in the other day, or when I'm teaching an HPTI class, or I'm at a convention where there are HPTI students or graduates, what I see are people who are actually changing the world, one person at a time. When you see a client, and that client in your office makes a substantial life change, you didn't just impact that client. You impacted that client's mother, brother, sister, boss, next door neighbor, child, in a positive way as well. You have, in fact, by participating in the HPTI program, become transformational leaders. And for that, you can give yourself actually a round of applause or a pat on the back. And if everybody is graduating today, congratulations. You're not just getting a certificate that says you know how to do hypnosis. You're actually getting a certificate that says you're a leader in the hypnosis profession. So, congratulations. Was that 5 minutes? Did I do it?